All right, grab your magnifying glass, because today we are diving deep into one of Sherlock Holmes's most famous adventures, The Sign of the Four. And what we're going to find is that behind this classic detective story, there's this incredible web of real-world secrets, some serious history, and some really brilliant literary tricks. So here's the central puzzle we need to solve together. How on earth do these three things, a fancy dinner party, a legendary diamond, and a violent historical uprising, all connect to create this iconic novel? Honestly, it's a mystery worthy of Holmes himself. Let's break it down. Okay, so our investigation doesn't start on some foggy London street like you might expect. No, it all begins at a surprisingly glamorous dinner party. This is basically the origin story of the story itself. So I want you to picture this. It's London, 1889, at the very posh Langham Hotel. An American editor, a guy named Joseph Stoddart, invites two of the hottest rising stars in the literary world to dinner. You've got a young doctor, Arthur Conan Doyle, and the already famous, incredibly witty playwright, Oscar Wilde. Stoddart's goal was simple: get these guys to write new novels for his magazine. And the result of that one single dinner, it was absolutely extraordinary. Stoddart didn't just get one literary classic, he got two. From that one meeting, Conan Doyle was commissioned to write The Sign of the Four, and Oscar Wilde was commissioned for The Picture of Dorian Gray. I mean, two absolute masterpieces, born on the exact same night. It's incredible. And Conan Doyle never forgot that night. He later wrote about how dining with Oscar Wilde was a golden evening for him. He was just totally captivated by Wilde's brilliant conversation, saying it left, and I quote, an indelible impression on his mind. Okay, let's move on to our first major clue. We're leaving that dinner party in London behind and traveling, metaphorically of course, to the heart of Mughal India. We're going to uncover the truth behind the story's most famous MacGuffin, the Agra treasure. So in the book, the Agra treasure is this cursed collection of jewels that just brings misery and death wherever it goes. But here's something you might not know. Conan Doyle very likely based his fictional treasure on a very real and very famous gemstone, the Agra diamond. And the real diamond's journey is just as wild as anything in the book. It starts way back in 1526 as a gift to the first Mughal emperor. Then you have this legendary, almost unbelievable part of its story, the tale of it being smuggled out of India in 1857, supposedly hidden inside a horse. And then finally, after a very long and mysterious history, it pops up at a Christie's auction in 1990, selling for millions. But here's the twist, and every good mystery needs one, right? The official history of the Agra diamond is just full of contradictions. That amazing story about it being smuggled in 1857, well, it doesn't really match up with records that show it was actually bought in London way back in 1844. So the real diamond has its own mystery attached to it, which of course makes it the perfect inspiration for a writer like Conan Doyle. And this brings us right to our second clue, which connects both the real and the fictional treasures to a really dark chapter in history. See, this isn't just about a stolen jewel. It's about the ghost of an empire. The Indian Rebellion of 1857, sometimes called the Indian Mutiny in older texts, is the historical trauma that just haunts this entire novel. It's the event where the fictional Agra treasure is stolen by Jonathan Small and his crew, and it's the very same event that's at the heart of the disputed smuggling story of the real diamond. That is definitely not a coincidence. Conan Doyle was writing in a style that literary critics now call imperial Gothic. So what is that? Well, the basic idea is that all the violence and chaos from the colonies, it doesn't just stay over there. It comes back home to England, almost like a curse or a ghost, to wreak havoc on the supposedly orderly life of London. The Agra treasure is literally the object carrying that colonial curse. So when you start to peel back the layers of this story, you realize The Sign of the Four is dealing with some pretty heavy themes. It's about the long-term consequences of imperialism, about the corrupting power of wealth that's been taken by force, and it presents this idea that only Sherlock Holmes's cold, hard logic can put a lid on the chaos that's bubbling up from the empire's dark past. Okay, so we have the history, we have the treasure, but what about the storytelling itself? Let's uncover our third and final clue, the really clever way Conan Doyle turns you, the reader, into a detective, working right alongside Holmes. This is one of the big reasons the Holmes stories have stuck around for so long. Conan Doyle doesn't just want you to sit back and watch Holmes solve the crime. He actually invites you to play along. And he does it with a very specific and very cool literary device. It's a technique called embedded texts, and you've definitely seen this before. Think about when you're reading a mystery, and bam, suddenly there's a map on the page, or a mysterious coded note, or a clipping from a newspaper. That's an embedded text. They're presented to you as raw evidence, creating these little gaps in the story that you, the reader, are challenged to figure out. It creates this simple but totally brilliant process. Step 1, the author drops a clue in front of you. Step 2, you get to see that raw info at the exact same time as the detective. And step 3, you're basically dared to solve it before he does. It turns reading from this passive thing into an active, really engaging game. All right, let's pull all our clues together, connect all the dots, and officially close the case on why this story has had such a massive lasting impact. If you need any proof at all of this novel's incredible value, just look at this number. In 2024, the original handwritten manuscript for The Sign of the Four was estimated to be worth $1.2 million. Let that sink in. This isn't just a book, it's a priceless piece of our literary history. So, as we've seen, this novel is so much more than a simple whodunit. It's a story that was born from a legendary dinner party. It's haunted by a real diamond and the ghosts of the British Empire. And it's built with these innovative techniques that changed how we read mysteries forever. It's really a battle between Sherlock's cool logic and the chaotic passions of the past. And that just leaves us with one final thought to chew on. The next time you pick up a classic detective novel, ask yourself this: are you just trying to solve a fun puzzle? Or are you maybe, without even realizing it, coming face to face with the hidden fears and forgotten histories of the time it was written? The game, as Holmes would say, is always afoot.